Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Good morning, Carmen. Good morning to you. Matilda Rhodes, good morning, Balroop. Angela, good morning. Afiza the moment, a pleasant good morning to you, Jillian. Frank James, good morning, Carla. Clarence, good morning. And I'm going to say Faye. And Mr. Clarence, a pleasant good morning to you all. Ronald, good morning to you. Anne Brown, good morning. Cyril, good morning. Do that, Mohan, good morning, Sandra. Angela, good morning to you. Diane, good morning. Wendy and John, a pleasant good morning to you. Hey, DJ Mohammed, good morning, Mala. Donna Lewis, good morning. Bujam John, good morning to you. Krishna, good morning to you. Divika Balkaran, good morning. Gemma Philip, good morning to you. Gobin Lakshman. Lakshmi Diyal, good morning. Nadira, pleasant good morning to you. Sita, good morning. Hey, Sir Rajani Singh, good morning, Beverly. 35087, a pleasant good morning. Gobind Lakshmi Diyal, good morning. Jennifer, good morning to you. Shireen Lee, good morning. Yolanda Kodna, pleasant good morning to you. Anne Moonsamia, good morning. Timothy Roberts, my brother, pleasant good morning to you. Pearl Daniel Singh, good morning. Jenny, good morning. Ral Prasad, a pleasant good morning to you. Radhika, good morning. Donna, good morning all. Donna's a pleasant good morning to you all. Peter, good morning. Gloria Scala, a pleasant good morning to you. Pringala Mohan, good morning. Pamela Palu, a pleasant good morning to you. Ishmael Khan, a pleasant good morning. Patch, good morning. Damien. Yes, Damien Angton, good morning. Rosa, Ali, a pleasant good morning to you. William, a pleasant good morning. Sharon, good morning. Philip. How are you going, my brother? Pleasant good morning, Chess School. Naz Ali and Mr. Ali, good morning to you all. Vishnu Bob, good morning. Lucky Lal, good morning to you. Anne Jackman, good morning. Nari, good morning. Patricia Reed, a pleasant good morning to you. Mina Steiner, good morning. Trinidad Revolutionary Soldiers, good morning. Marilyn Sitaran, a pleasant good morning to you. Jesse, good morning. Ganesh, good morning. Dave. Anne-Marie Amin, good morning. Janet. Tara, all Taras, good morning. Nick, Nesta, good morning. Shamaroon Mills, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Michael Scotland, good morning. Rambo Ali, good morning. Nigel Black. Frank James, good morning. Angie, Susan, Bootman. So Miss Brooklyn, good morning, Angie. Susan Bootman, good morning. The Iron Lady, Ann Williams, good morning. Miss Lorna, Miss Lawrence, Miss Lahokita, Mr. Lahokita. All you on the beat, they are pleasant good morning to you. Miss Kufa, all of you. Karen, good morning. Balraj, Rampi soon, a pleasant good morning.
Bang, bang, bang. The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Jesse, good morning. Dave C. Prasad, good morning. boy, oh boy. Liquor prices soars. Angostura Carib announces price increases in response to Tanku's tax hikes. Government set aside $7 million to wind up a CPEP. VAT to be removed on basic food items from today. President Kangaroo praises teachers, volunteers for selfless service at Diwali Nagar. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So the lines are open, Trinidad and Tobago. You all know the numbers. The numbers to call 225-6644, 225-6644, 239-5120, 239-5120. Or give us a WhatsApp call at 366-3053, 366-3053. What's on your front burner this morning? What's supposed to make news that not making news? The lines are open to you. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, I understand. Can I set a water? Tell the cleaners up on that side to clean the bus on them now.
What you're on a grandy bus?
The granny bus. From Pogasway and 5:30. I dripping a set of water every morning. Call the dispatch and let them call up there and let them clean the bus on them now.
The bus dirty too?
Yeah, dirty. Every morning is the same thing.
So every morning, so you just travel to go to Grandy every morning from the 5:30 bus?
Yeah.
Where's the issues as a new voice? Right? Because it has somebody that's called the program named Bossman. But as a new voice, what is the issues you having as a bus commuter when it comes to the buses?
I don't know, it's just too much problems every month.
Do you all get a bus on time?
Not really.
Well, all right. All right. Anything else to add to this? So other than the bus rail dirty and it's...
Clean the bus now.
Huh?
They're dripping water. Tell them clean the bus now.
And the dripping rail water. Look, Rolly say if you use the bus lady. Well, the bus lady woman, but you may not know who is the bus man. Well, all right. Thank you very much for your call.
The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, hello, good morning, caller. Where are you calling from?
Morning, Andy. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Lennox, Mickie, newbie, and to everybody out there. Andy, congratulations. Let that put a stop now, a stop cock in all the naysayers' mouth. All who are negotiating deals for you, right? I wonder what they have to say now. What they have to say now. Andy, everything takes time, right? And as you rightly said, you were waiting and your ship did come in. You should, as with everybody else. And while we're talking about ship coming in, Andy, I heard somebody on Wall Street last night asking where it is be when it have protests. I had to get that joke this early morning, the Saturday morning, right? They never see me in any protest, right? I get away by them. I hear breath as people say with the key to tell them. Also standing together, and I went to talk to them, and Mickie told me, he said, Anna, go now, because they send for the bus for us, and go now. And just as I was walking across the grassy area, the bus pulled into the savannah, because they were very near, They were very near. And when I got into the car that I came in and we were driving off the bus, then started putting people on the bus. So when people want to call and say, because I asked a question, I never hear or see this person before until after the 28th of April, right? That they went to Tobago to help campaign. We had no candidate in Andy, can you hear me properly?
Loud and clear.
Okay, we had no candidate in Tobago, but why would you leave? Why would you leave to help an area that
to help? Right? Why we here up to? Why did you leave to help an area? Your phone muted, Miss Santa Cruz. Right. Oh, shucks. Your phone like you hear me. I like you mute your phone.
you're hearing me better now, Andy?
Right. We hear you up to why would you leave? Something about right.
Yeah, why would you leave? Why would you leave an area that we were struggling in? Like Arima or even what are the area, right? I could call Arima, Mausika. Right. And go quite Tobago to help Tobago people when they said, Tobago clearly said, no, Tobago, Miss Bernie, all of this is not against all, yeah, right? That when clearly Tobago party said they were not in any coalition with the UNC government. Why would you do that? And then coming to ask why, where I was, they never see me in any protests or anything, right? Andy, let me tell you something, After, and now you're getting washed up, chutney singers and them, talking about Kamala this and Kamala see the people starving. But you know, funny enough, when people were starving under the PNM government, Andy, their knees were on our necks. You didn't hear this washed up chutney singer talking about with Kamala. But she vexed because Kamala didn't pick up for Karani. That is what happening. And Andy, I want you to continually put up that picture that I sent for you yesterday.
Yeah.
The property tax versus the land owners' taxes. To see the unfairness. So when PNMites like Patty Reid and all of them want to come and talk and set a gobar for people out here, we could show them what it is that the PNM government was taxing that poor man dilapidated house. $50,000 they peg it at. Right, as compared to all the condominiums and things that Imbert and all of them had that they were not taxing. We have to continue showing the people the unfairness of the PNM government when they want to come and criticize this government that is only, Andy, what today is? Today is the 16th, 17th. The 17th, 170 days in office as compared to the 3,540 days that the PNM had in office. And what did they do for the people? They did absolutely nothing. And bit by bit, Andy, we are seeing progress. It mightn't be coming on a horse, right? But it coming on the bullet train. Let me say the bullet train. But it is coming. Yesterday we saw Karani workers getting their lands. And the next one going to jump up and ball. How it because alone could get the land. But they worked the land. That was given to them in their visa package. Why is it when if all they don't know? Ask a question. Don't come and assume. Don't come and condemn. They were promised those lands and they were given the lands. So when all you want to come and talk, that is why, Andy, every day, we will come here and we will raise issues as to what the PNM government did to the people of this country. And who don't like it, there's a mute knob there that all they can very well mute it if all they don't want to listen to it. Because bit by bit, we are seeing the progress of this government. And as I say, who don't like it, well, you know what all they could do. Andy, thanks so much for listening to me, and congratulations again on your appointments, right? Let them sit down now on that and let them think about it. Thanks a lot, Andy. Take care.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Andy Williams and Lennox Smith. Congratulations, Andy. Good thing comes to those who wait. The
Congratulations.
song I was playing yesterday morning, you can play it for me?
Where's that?
I ain't next to my blessings.
Partner, I get appointed as the PRO of the Chutney and Tassa associations, partner. That's it. That's not a government appointment, sir.
No, well,
Yeah, that's
remember
not
you
government
put in the work, you're a fighter too, you know. Good thing comes to those who wait. But Andy, it has some UNC activists. I just listen and hear all of the talk. Them only stick the activists, they're close to the ministers. The ministers know me, they know me, they could talk and put out a word for me. Because this world, every man for their own self, nobody cares about nobody, you know. So I don't care about someone who saying I come in and talking and I come to make the government look bad. I'm a UNC supporter all the way. I never switch and say PNM. I love the PNM so much. And I fight and toil and cussing the PNM and so unfortunately God come and bless me with a house under the PNM for my children and them. I could have said, but I love the PNM, but I'm not going to the PNM. No. UNC all the way. And plus I live in a UNC constituency too. So I fully UNC. So all the UNC activists and them who getting the little bread and eating behind the scene and fighting against activists and talking about hold on and trust the process and screaming, call and send it to the minister for their own benefit. Fire burn some of them. And they look to understand. Bless.
Thank you. Again, you all hold strain. At the end of the day, I was recognized by the Chutney Association, the Atassa Association, for being a fighter, a person that fights for the right thing, and just got a PRO position in order to push those two cultural Lennox, a pleasant good morning to you. I want to make sure you're in your day.
You hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes indeed. But of course, it's a Friday morning, and as usual, some of the issues that we would not have spoken, that would have maybe overlooked or didn't have time to. Well, of course, we try to bring you up to speed because, of course, this is a final day before, of course, the weekend. And then, of course, we go into Monday. Monday, of course, being a holiday, of course, we want to say to all of those persons all the Diwali celebrants, present one to you. And of course, we will be up and around as well. Now that Andy have been inducted into, of course, the whole stream of things as far as as far as the Indian culture is concerned. And I am saying so from the perspective of the Diwali, it being, of course, religious observance, but nonetheless steeped in the Indian tradition, which was brought across, of course, to the West Indies by the Indian forefathers. So congratulations to them, one, on their achievements, and of course on that very holy occasion as well. Let me say, of course, first and foremost, to ensure that my etiquette is not questioned, a pleasant good morning to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Well, some of the things that we did not, of course, cover in any extreme details is that, of course, today is Friday, and many traditionally as well, Trinbagonians will love to have their Friday evening line. And therefore, I want to tell you that according to the Angostura list of increased items from today, yes, of course, a 750 milliliter bottle of Angostura 1919 now carries a suggested retail price of $349.99. Of course, that has moved from $299.99. So just above $100 increase. Then, of course, we have the 750 milliliter white oak. That is something that is regular. Where I go, people consume that regularly. Well, that 750 milliliter white oak is listed at $154.99. What it was before, I don't know, because I don't purchase that, but I suppose those persons who are familiar will now know what the new price is, at least, and you get it from the ground report. We are grassroots, and therefore we will, of course, pay attention to these matters. Of course, another size, 1.72 liters size, is now $334.99. Forest Park, which of course is the punching part of it, they call it the overproof rums. Let me repeat that. Overproof rum, and I tell you, boy, that has bun tongue, it has bun belly, it has bun stomach, it has bun throat and all. But that has increased to $549 and 99 cents for the 1.75 liter bottle. So you have to dip a little deeper now. So those of you who has that propensity, well, of course, you'll see it is a bit more expensive. Of course, there are other premium labels, such as, of course, the what's that? You have the Angostura 1.7.
We're talking about that is what the raise in gas in because what he had
rum. We're talking about alcohol. We're talking alcohol here.
Oh,
yeah. That's the reason. That's the rise in the thing. Of course, Carib. Well, of course, the regular. Let me just deal with the regular ones. Carib, Stag, and with that Pilsner. I always have a problem in pronouncing that. Pilsner will have risen to $13 per bottle from around $10. When you go to a bar, you pay $10 and so on. I have to look at how much people I can buy a beer for now. Because that is my area. Royal Extra Stout is now, of course, $15. I think we used to pay that.
Yeah, but let me ask something.
Yeah.
Why it's important for we now to focus on the rise in rum or cigarette and not focus on the decrease in the food prices and various things such as salt and all those various things.
Well, I said that we did not look at these matters. One, and two, I think it is good information for persons who may choose now to stay off the alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's more expensive. Because according to Dave Tanku, the Minister of Finance, the increased taxes on these, the increased excise duty, it is called, to be more specific, is due to one, to reduce consumption, and to, of course, gain income or taxes to the treasury. So I thought it was important, of course, to do that, to let people know that it is, in fact, it's here, and that they should, of course, control or get off of these items all entirely. All right. I understand that Malta's shandy and so forth has not changed, but tell the bar owners that they will not. They will certainly increase generally. Of course, another thing that totally away from that particular area is some of the areas that has been consumed or now under the ambit or responsibility of the of the office of the Prime Minister. And she has taken on, the Honorable Prime Minister has taken on, of course, the responsibility of the Self-Help Commission, one, the heritage building, as well, constitutional reform. The office of the Prime Minister will be engaged in that exercise as well. National Library Services, National Library Services, the National Library. Information System Authority, Home Improvement Grants Policy. I'm sure next week we'll be able to, of course, get a little more flesh on the bare bone that we would have gotten with respect to the operationalization and the intent of these various departments. So we have Home Improvement Grants Policy. Yeah?
You know what I want to ask about? I see here in the papers close to $2 million in cash seized in a Maraval homeowner, and a Maraval homeowner detained. They say a Maraval woman was arrested on Wednesday after police raided her home in Mocha. That is a big shot area, right? And why I bring up that is to remember Stuart Young's stepdaughter. You understand? And where she is, and this lady here might be dealt a different belt compared to Stuart Young's daughter. Stuart Young's daughter was found with drugs.
Okay. Yeah, drugs, cocaine, among others. Yeah.
Right. This homeowner here was found with just under $2 million in cash in a wall safe. But I some people who save the money, they didn't go to the bank. And you know how hard it is when go to the bank. In a wall safe, right? 4 police patches and a pair of black tactical pants. The raid occurred between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. in a gated community, form part of the anti-crime exercise accordance with operations. Right?
Yeah,
so she was found with just money, almost $2 million. Police patches, that is them thing where you put on with the police, go put on the badge and them kind of badge thing, patch thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a pair of tactical pants.
Yeah. But that, to me, that on the surface of it, from a prima facie perspective, that doesn't sound good for her at all.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't sound good at all, because clearly, if they find drugs, they find money, she will have difficulty in getting back that money, because it's going to look, there is a piece of legislation that talks about proceeds of crime, and therefore the money will be seen as that, will be seized. The police has that authority so to do. And then, of course, being found with all of these unauthorized, should I say, material, apparel, does not sound good.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, she break the law. At the end of the day,
like Stuart Young, Cho Young's daughter is
Stepdaughter.
a different story.
Right, but at the end of the day, how I watch it is that okay, watch at that. Let's see how that case could be dealt with. At the end of the day, illegal is illegal, right? If she can't come for that money there, where she have problems, you understand? She will have
So I'm
problems
saying
if she can't come
on
for
the
that
face
money.
of it, she's supposed to have some extreme difficulty in with the police, and one expects that she will find herself expeditiously before the courts. Of course, barring all legal rights that she may retain, because we still have a system where, and it's very, very, very poignant and emphatic when, of course, somebody in locations like that, in communities like that, find themselves before the court.
Somebody sell them
of
out.
course, not guilty until proven, and of course, other rights that that person may have are exploited by very high-priced lawyers.
Right, so what a World War chat is, if they will be dealt with the same belt as Stuart Young former stepdaughter, compare to her herself. That's why I'm watching. So let's see if she go get the belt, as in she could come out, she could travel while being on bail, right? She could be out of the country while being on bail, because remember Stuart Young's stepdaughter get cold in Westmoreland too. Westmall. Well, not too, but she's smoker. That one is smoker. But Westmall, a high-fluting area, well, which most people deemed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me see what belt will be dealt with that, because crime is crime. I just want to put the whole initiative on how Stuart Young's stepdaughter technically was favored compared to anybody else. Because if it's me and all in my poor area, where's the belt going to deal with me? Might be the same belt going to deal with that lady there. If she don't know nobody, if she don't have a stepfather like Stuart Young, or some big person.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. That we say, the biases built into the system, and because the system is operated by people, you have these what I consider to be unsavory scenarios that demonstrates that all are not equal. I suppose is there where you are going, and it's a fair assessment having regard to what has been happening in Trinidad and Tobago. But I want to say that I'm very confident that the present law enforcement agencies, have stepped up to the plate, so to speak. We have seen, of course, some activities that we would not have seen before, and across the board, we saw, of course, David Lee, for example, is one case in point, and then, of course, we have this. Let's see, and of course, there's so many others in recent times where what is good for the goose, so to speak, is good for the gander.
I said, again, if she's wrong, let her face the full brunt of the law, right? Ramco Industries Limited had issued a public advisory on safe use of the liquefied petroleum gas known as LPG. Following incidents,
that has always been so.
Following recent reports of incidents involving gas tank explosions at homes and in communities.
Yeah, well, that has always been so. There is always a warning user list safety utilization of these products or these items. But in recent times, because of what has happened, one lady would have lost her life, and we did emphasize that on this program. I suppose they see the need to do spend some additional money on, of course, making sure that they keep the bottom line just above water in terms of profitability and so on. So it's not that in my view, it's not that they are so concerned about the outcomes or the incidents, but more so to keep their business alive. Next thing they will make these kinds of gestures to suggest that they are concerned, but at the same time, it is good good consumer and good what I consider be public relations for the company.
The next thing I believe that you may know about, because that happened in Port of Spain, because the housing minister to review security after murder at Port of Spain Mall, and that murder was at the East Side Plaza. Somebody was killed on Charlotte Street. What that was about?
I want to tell you that yesterday, to my dismay, because you normally will walk down I walked down George Street. The eastern gate or the eastern parameter of that mall, East Mall, is you can enter and then you go through that and you end up on Charlotte Street. So you move from George to Charlotte Street. Well, I want to say that was shut tight, and nobody could have passed, and if I had to walk further down to Queen Street, then of course to get onto Charlotte Street. So yes, there appears to be something in place already. I don't know if it is still a crime scene, but I took the opportunity to walk back up and past that particular facility, but on Charlotte Street side, and the Charlotte Street side was open. So it appears for the time being, and maybe that is a warning or information to persons who would like to visit that mall and maybe they shop there, as the case may be, for one reason or another, that the George Street side is shut tight. Nobody could enter or leave, but the entrance and exit will be sort of cul-de-sac, will be and is on Charlotte Street side. Yeah. So it's as a result of that, no doubt. So I'm not surprised of that statement that the minister would have made, having regard to that incident. And I mean, and that is just one incident in a plethora and increase and a upsurge in, of course, petty crimes. I consider that was a major crime, but certainly the petty crime part, where snatching of purse and snatching of chain and snatching of jewelry and trying to rob people and so on, there has been an upsurge in that, and very, very disconcerting for people like myself and, of course, other members of the community who have taken on the responsibility voluntarily to, of course, get some sanity and to direct those young people from engaging in that kind of activity. Sometimes you have to put out your own money to give them maybe a lunch because they have nothing to eat, that kind of thing, and so on. So, and yesterday, of course, I made mention of it because I think there is a nexus between that upsurge and the absence of the little sustenance or the subsistence monies that they will get from projects such as CPEP, URP, etc. So we are still urging the authorities to expeditiously implement the alternative, because while we understand that one of the purposes for looking at CPEP and URP in the way that the government has been doing, the fact of the matter is that the elements that would have exploited it, getting more than the fair share, this a protracted delay may well defeat the purpose for which, at least that purpose for which that program or those programs were suspended. So I am urging, out of an abundance of caution, and only because I don't want this government in no way to fail in no form or fashion. Yes, the colony workers have gotten their lands and so on, but this is an issue that has to be addressed, simply because this is Port of Spain. It is happening in Port of Spain, the capital city, and in spite of the efforts of the law enforcement, and they are working very hard, but they cannot be ubiquitous. They cannot be everywhere at the same time. They are not omnipresent, and as a consequence, we have assessed the situation, and there is a direct nexus between, of course, the closure of these, what I consider to be makeshift, make work and of course sustenance programs, and of course the upsurge, the rapid upsurge in these petty crime activities that may well defeat the purpose, one of the purpose for which these programs were suspended. Go ahead, Andy. When he's silent, people, is an indication that I need to talk a little more. So, but let me complete the Prime Minister's portfolio. I reached the point where home improvement grants policy. So that is a very good one. House and Village Improvement Program has come under the Prime Minister's wing, so to speak, or gambit. The government aided self-help housing program, very important ones for homeowners, potential and existing. And then, of course, you have, that was there all the time, the Sports and Culture Fund of managed under the auspices of the Prime Minister's office. Of course, in that ministry, let me tell you as well that the Barry Padarat is also a minister in that ministry. You also, of course, Daryl Alaha, and as parliamentary secretary, and you have a parliamentary secretary as well, who is, of course, Nicholas Morris, a fella that I know very well, came a long way. He is the representative for right now for Mayaro. You have, as I say, Padarat is also the public utilities minister, and Morris, the same Morris, Nicholas Morris, is also a parliamentary secretary in the CARICOM and Foreign Affairs Ministry. That is why he was part of the delegation, I suppose, that went to the United Nations on the recent trip of the Prime Minister. All
okay,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the piece of information that we did not address during the course of the week, that, of course, we take the opportunity on a Friday to address as well. Yeah.
Nice. So Trinidad and Tobago, the lines are open by the meanwhile, eh? By the meanwhile, we go through, check for other issues that we did not raise during the week. Because I also see in which Lennox always in this courthouse thing. Judge say SOE challenge pending with the council ruling. Alright, that is Frank C. Prasad. Beckles to unmask. Right? Beckles to unmask 2026 budget as hoax, says PNM. What says on that? What does she have to unmask?
Well, they have signaled their intent. They call it a fake and a false budget immediately after the presentation. And as I said yesterday, I don't think they have much to, of course, deliver. And they may have made a commitment to that trend, to that theme, prior to, of course, additional information that the government very sagaciously, very wisely disclosed. Like take for instance, one would have expected that much of the presentation of the opposition leader will be surrounding CPEP, URP, etc. But that was the wind was taken out of the sail with respect to that when the Prime Minister announced that she will be handling, and of course in the substantive debate on the matter, on the matter meaning here the budget for 2026, she will be, of course, addressing that because there is a general principle of this government, and that is they prefer to have, of course, work that people could sustain themselves and be more permanent, and they can, of course, plan, get a bank loan, etc. And is that area that they are looking at. And it will be difficult. It will be difficult for the opposition leader to preempt and not knowing what was said by the Prime Minister, but not knowing the detail to come and say. Maybe she might say, well,
won't
I expect
prophesy.
to see so and so and so.
Yeah, she won't
could see that,
prophesy.
but it would be difficult for her to have a solid presentation in that regard, having regard to what the Prime Minister did, show some sun and some oil and vinegar in her rice, so to speak, because she'd have come out there full all guns blazing on the URP, CPEP, and the reforestation programs.
Nice. Venezuelan VP, because we can't touch too much, because remember it's short of time or too deep inside. Venezuelan VP, which is the Vice President of Venezuela, I want to believe that Delcy Rodriguez, calls death of Trini fishermen a self-fulfilling prophecy. Wow. You hear that?
Yeah, well, that to me was very opportunistic and probably, to a lesser extent, but nonetheless effective enough, very disingenuous, because she's saying that is Kamala karma that caused it. That's what she's saying, that is karma, because here it is. She did mention that, of course, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago talked about, killing these persons who are engaged in drugs and the cartels and those gangs and so on that are being the target of the American arsenal. And here it is. She's saying that it is self-fulfilling, meaning that what you ask for, you get. But trying, of course, to generate some kind of political currency or political discussion on the matter. But of course, showing, of course, the Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister in the middle of all of that.
Nice.
Because of the alleged killing of two Trinbagonians.
Nice. Let me just clear on one thing, Lennox Smith. Will you be able to clear that for them too again for them? I get appointed as the PRO not by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, by Dr. Ramlal and the association, which is a non-paying position, non-paying, no money. But I am happy to fulfill the position, having the strengths that I have in the growth of Chutney and Tassa, and the continued recognition of the Chutney that was born in Trinidad and Tobago and the Tassa drum that was born right here in Trinidad and Tobago, okay? So again, you all get that clear?
Yes, these associations from the very names are in fact NGOs. They are non-governmental institutions that rely, among others, apart from government, they look for resources. And of course, they will hold their shows just as Pan Trinbago and other let's say leading cultural expressions in the country. Pan Trinbago, of course, the Calypsonian organization and all of that. So we don't want you to get tied up with, of course, that appointment, which is something.
Yeah, you see, the skip saying, Andy, how you go, and the government, no, again, an NGO approached me, knowing my strengths, and the NGO would represent Tassa and Chutney.
Yeah.
I
do want to say
I'm in a position to advocate for them, the NGO, in government helping. So let's continue just in government helping and giving interventions to them for the growth of those two cultural positions there. All right.
Yeah, but I want to say still that congratulations is on the cards for you, simply because these nationalistic institutions have recognized, of course, your ability and have, of course, sought and you have volunteered your service. So you continue to work, just as how you are doing it right here on the ground report. So they have recognized, and therefore, in the fullness of time, one expects that others will do the same, whether it's government or non-government.
Nice. So So let's make that clear. Go ahead, caller. Pleasant good morning to you.
Hey, morning Andy, morning Lennox.
Good morning.
As we said just now, how you think the mindset is now as this tit for tat thing with Venezuela, right? Now she said it come like long time. When we say it's good for you, you're talking about me and they say no, it's good for you. It sounds like that. No, it's good for you, right? You look to your citizens get killed, so it's good for you. With that being said, how you think the real, because remember this lady is the energy minister, she running Paravico, wherever the name of the place, the Venezuelan oil thing now. With this kind of feelings here now, do you think that Trinidad will get the opportunity really to negotiate with Venezuela for this dragon gas? Because you're seeing the animosity against Trinidad from Delcy, or only will this dragon gas come up when they go in there and try to change the regime? With this, so we had to sit around, wait and see. What do you think, Andy? Do you think they're willing, the way they're talking, if they're willing to negotiate with Trinidad and with this deal, right? The way they're talking, I think Trinidad is a kind of hard place right now, Just the how they're talking about Trinidad, like, well, it's good for, the college citizens get killed. I don't think that's a good, what I always say, a good view in Trinidad direction with this dragon gas thing. I really want, as everybody else, I really want this dragon gas to go through. I really want this dragon gas because we really need this dragon gas. But the way that regime sounding like they don't really care to negotiate with Trinidad, even though we had the license. I just want to hear your thought on that, Andy and Lennox. How you perceive that to be?
Again, what make you come to that conclusion on what it is you're talking about there? What make you
right? Remember she saying that remember what she said. Look at like how you now say it's karma, right? You telling Trump to blow up our citizens with the narcos, right? Now, if indeed they were transporting drugs internationally, right? What she's saying is now, it's good for it's like a karma. It's good for you. Now you telling Trump, blow up we citizens for trafficking. Now your citizen was involved in the trafficking. So it come like, all right, you tell me it's good for you. Now if I am want to say that I want to go and negotiate this dragon gas deal, right? I wouldn't be coming up with this karma talk. I want to negotiate in good faith, right? So the back and forth tit for tat, that we're talking about now, the tit for tat. So you tell me blow him up, now I tell you it's good for you. Yours get blown up too, right? So that is what I'm talking about now. So
right, but the papers also said Kamala. I'll just read them with the papers. Kamala, defense minister, numb on 2 trainees killed in U.S. strikes.
Yeah, but remember,
let's face it. That is a valid concern. I think the caller, for once at least, has put very objectively that particular situation to the national consciousness. But I want to also say that is against the background that the Venezuelans seem to be blowing hot and cold because the Venezuelan ambassador here in Trinidad has said in a recent statement that there is no real animosity, even though, of course, it's one family. In other words, and don't fault me if I am paraphrasing, but what I got is that it is one family, and from time to time, teeth and tongue will clash. But it doesn't mean that fundamentally we are enemies per se, and that we are in the same boat together. And because of that, relations from time to time may be strained, but it doesn't mean that in their mutual interests that it cannot be mended, or that nothing could be done as sworn enemies would normally exercise. So that is how I see it. So this was an opportunity for the Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, to make that statement. But I'm sure it was more targeting. It had a dual purpose, was targeting the Americans, as well as, of course, telling Trinidad, well, you see, they're killing your people too. You see, but of course, Kamala Prasad Bisesa at the same time had made it very clear that people who find themselves in that situation, they are on their own. They are on their own. So I will not be surprised if, of course, there is no response or there is a deafening silence, if you want to call that, to use an oxymoron.
Which meaning what? Meaning that
Prime Minister and the Minister.
Right, but meaning what?
Because they don't want to inflate anything.
Right, but meaning
Yeah,
that what? That in the earlys, when it started, that the administration, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, forewarn all citizens about the risk they're taking going out there.
Yeah. So
and if they go out there,
I'm sure that if it was me, I will remain silent as well, because if you restate that, it will sound as though because two people have died, and of course the question is Trinbagonians. You don't want to sound inhumane and you don't want to sound unsympathetic because people have died. But of course, she did warn, and I will be surprised if she take that what I consider to be injurious or tough stand, having regard to the fact that two persons have actually died. Of course, the families. You have the families to consider who are saying, well, listen, the man, or one of them at least, was hitching a ride back to Trinidad. But of course, in a boatload of amphetamine and, of course, drugs. Come on.
Right. Besides that.
All right, now, gentlemen. Enjoy the day.
All right.
Yeah.
Besides that, Lennox Smith.
Yeah.
With all of that being said, right? We seeing whereby Trump is actually admitting that there are CIA agents operating now in Venezuela, and that they are thinking about land now, not only sea but also land. So is it now that we could safely say that war is looming, or an assassination plot is looming, or all the heads of the various the army in America, including maybe the Chief Justice and all those, not in America but in Venezuela, including the power brokers within Venezuela, where they be targeted, such as what we see Israel did in Iran, because now it's land. And remember, they said the head of the job.
In the Gaza, you're talking about Hamas Sunday.
No.
Iran, they did do something there, but they didn't take out the leadership. They have taken out the leadership of Hamas and the other terrorist group that has been a thorn in their side.
Right. So now back home here, with CIA on the foot in Venezuela, that was admitted by Donald Trump, and with the admittance too that they are thinking about putting boots and all on land, and with a $50 million bounty on Maduro head, and with they don't class him as the head of the narco trafficking. Is it safely that we can say that an assassination or a retrieval plot is taking place or will be taking place very soon, which may be under war, because it look like it's going to be bombs and guns and all that bacchanal in Venezuela soon?
It will be extremely naive of anyone to rule out any of those scenarios. Having regard to the amount of military and marine assets that and soldiers that have been deployed in the first place, of course, and having regard to the statement by the president that it will be a land operation now that they have exhausted persons' trepidation to use the seas, that they will go on land. All of these are building blocks to, of course, one action. And you are quite right. You are quite right. If the CIA is there, then it means that therefore, they have the technology to find all of the leadership. I remember when Saddam Hussein, when the decision was to get rid of Saddam Hussein, what they first did was to try to decapitate the leadership first. But Saddam and his team had just left the building where they had bombed out. So I suspect it's a similar scenario that are being contemplated. But as I say, whilst we don't have privy to all of that, but it will be extremely naive for anybody to think that is not on the cards.
Okay. Trying to go again, the lines are open. The numbers to call. I'll give all the numbers. 225-6644, 225-6644, 239-5120, 239-5120. Or give us a WhatsApp call at 366-3053, 366-3053. Let's play some two voice notes there.
And I must add,
go ahead.
Yeah, quickly, and I must add that if I am in the Trinidad and Tobago government, I will take the position, if I have to comment on that, of what officialdom has said. The Americans never said that it is regime change. They never said that they were going to attack, and therefore you have to stick to that line. But of course, that is called diplomacy. Diplomacy. But you and I can, of course, go beyond that because we are part of the Fourth Estate, and we have an opinion, and having regard to the historical context and the build-up of the arsenal or just off the borders of Venezuela, that is a possibility, and we must not deny ourselves of that being a reality.
Go ahead, caller. Morning.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Yes, if you watch the papers, the one where the mother say he was involved in nothing, police hold you already with drugs. You have a big picture on today's papers.
Okay. Well, I said it's difficult to contemplate that a fellow coming back home on just a trip to Colombia, and he choose a pirogue full of drugs to come back home, right? So, I mean, that speaks for itself. That's ample evidence.
The government maybe nominated to, knowing that Kamala Persad being the head of the National Security Council, already was informed and already have the track records of the individual that was killed, the individuals, and maybe they're shaky, based on, as this gentleman just said, that any papers have the face of one of the individuals, and whereby drug charges was laid on one of the people that they are saying that is innocent. Not only that, I go into Colombia. Why I can't just come back in Trinidad properly just on a plane? Jump on a plane, fly back to Trinidad and Tobago. Even if I'm Venezuela, jump on a plane wherever I had to go. So the closest might be, because I think always call the little island of where everybody just go there.
Curacao, Margarita.
Margarita, Curacao. You understand? From Venezuela, you get a thing to go Margarita, Curacao, and from there you go get flight where you can reach back Trinidad, whether it be you reach one of them Caribbean countries and then to Trinidad. You know? So again, that funny. That real funny. That I out there and I organize and how I went by pirogue.
Andy, look, I send it and he WhatsApp here, watch it.
I mean, they try to insult our intelligence. That's all, and our common sense. But of course, nobody would accept that, unless, of course, you could prove it in black and white. But nobody. Incidentally, just for information's sake, I had to go. I was invited by one of the regional banks to a conference in Colombia, and in order to reach Colombia, we had to go up to the United States and then take a flight to come back down to Colombia. So I just for information's sake. So it's very difficult by way of air to to engage in that way. So, but the fact of the matter is that he was on a period with drugs. He must have known that there is an operation in the Caribbean by the United States. He must have known that prior. He would have known about boats that would have been blown up once they have drugs on it. And if you choose to go on a boat with drugs on it, then of course the risk that you would have taken, hoping that it didn't materialize. Well, in this case, it materialized.
Right. Well, on the screen there, you have the gentleman that they say is innocent, and you're seeing there whereby Lennox Smith, well, you're seeing there where, and I don't want to believe it's an AI, all right, where this is him there in front of a set of drugs.
Yeah, I think I saw that up to yesterday as well. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Common sense will let us know what the real deal is. All right. In spite of the family, I mean, it's very common for members of family to know that a particular member of the family is engaged in activities that may require the attention of the law enforcement agencies, and when they are finally, of course, caught for one reason or another, they then say that they didn't know that was so, and he was a good boy,
Right.
etc.
So the relatives say he did never was in no drugs. That is what the thing is saying. He did never was in no drugs. He did nice and kind, right? But you're seeing there, Matlat, Arima, 4 held by Coast Guard for arms, for ammunition and narcotics, and he is involved in that.
Yeah. Well, this big head of the drug cartel in Mexico. Remember that Escobar? They say he was good too. Yeah, because he used to help out the skirting community. He had a whole village to himself, and he would help and so on. But at the end of the day, he was engaged in activities that was killing people more than, as Trump would say, killing millions of people in his country, and he has decided to do something about it, even though it may be a guise for something else. But as politicians, as officials, leaders of Trinidad and Tobago, they could only go with what Trump say. They can't go beyond that. I'm sure in their private quarters, away from the media, I think the conversation may be slightly different.
Morning, caller. We're calling from. What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Lennox. Calling from the Barak Boy. Andy, if my alias is the doubles boss, you feel his crab and dumpling night is all associated with, he alias is Chapo. I wonder if these people know who is El Chapo Guzman. And that alone explain everything. You see, what has happened between Trinidad? We display smart with stupidness and want to deny and always try to protect wrongdoing. Criminals, we just feel more sympathetic. When police kill a set of bandit, everybody, they shouldn't do them that. They should have shoot them in the foot. They should have hold them first. But you would not hear one person mention the victims of the crime, how they surviving. People who home was invaded. You don't see any news media going by their house a year after, a month after, 2 years after, to find out how these people are surviving. The children that was raped and the little daughters and things that was traumatized. You'll see any media going and interviewing these victims of crime to find out if they're surviving, what kind of life they're living after that. But for years, you'll see media going and pulling up story about some criminal will get killed in Lavantil, a criminal will get killed in, let me tell you something. People could say what they want. Is when you experience what drugs do to people, families, You see the nice life where a lot of people has been seeing and think that drugs is some kind of party thing, is a pastime, is a fun thing. That is nothing to do with drugs. That is just a infatuation. You see, when you really see that a decent young girl get introduced to drugs and the whole life mess up. She can't control herself. She can't do anything again. She prostitution. She had good education, everything, and give up everything because that drug take over her life. And this happened to thousands of people all over the world in all different community and thing. And you see the people who will be selling the drugs and them, they don't want them children to be no part of that, you know. When you look at Escobar children and Guzman children and all them big drug kingpin and thing, you know where their children does be? Nowhere close to these things, you know. They does be well educated in the best college and taken care of. If them even go around them thing, they deserve all kind of treatment for it. We here, having these people and bringing in these things into our country, we don't produce cocaine here. Where in Trinidad you see any place you see there's grow the coca plant in Trinidad? Where you see in any part of Trinidad and Tobago, we have a manufacturing of guns, AK-47 and bullets and things. And then when they get killed, they want evidence. They want people have to go and look at the documentary, how they get Bin Laden. And then you go tell me the kind of intelligence America have. So when you see they see a boat leaving Venezuela and coming through the open ocean and thing, these people don't know down to the smallest fish hook they have on that boat, them could identify it. They could listen to every conversation that is taking place on that boat while it is moving. So these people are doing this thing by guess. So all the nonsense that people in this country dotish, that Chapo was a nice, decent young boy that gets stranded in Venezuela. If he was walking from Venezuela, he could have reached Trinidad. But we are dotish. Stop playing us for fools. Drugs is as close to Satan as you could think about it. And the destruction it creates. And I have no sympathy for that. So people could call and deny and think. Because if we deny the destruction Rowley and the PNM do in Trinidad and Tobago for the last 10 years, something had to be wrong with what we're doing in this country. Something had to be wrong with the mental capacity of the people in Trinidad and Tobago. Because you have a government now where they present finally a real minister of finance. Somebody who knows finance, compared to a carpenter who built a stadium in Grenada where every measurement he gave them was wrong until a little breeze blew down the whole thing. He them had managing our finance in Trinidad and Tobago. And now he would come today in Parliament to discuss that budget and talk a set of rubbish. Where you have now a finance minister that explain things and people still questioning that. People want to know that how it trickling down, the increase in this got trickled down to the poor man and the increase, everything got be trickling down. Them didn't realize the trickle down effect of the crime that government created. That when people could get up in the morning and drink a cup of coffee outside in the front porch and thing, they had to hide inside their house. They had to look at the camera before they come outside. They had to spend $500 every month to buy feed for their dog that they didn't supposed to even have in the yard. They had to hire people to drop the children to school and pick them up. All that trickled down because of the PNM government and how they manage the country. The trickle-down effect is the lack of maintenance of your roads, where you have to spend twice the amount of money to maintain your vehicle to have it functional because of what they did to the condition of the roads. That's the trickle-down effect. Now, you have a government who are trying to do something to benefit and better Trinidad and Tobago and everybody. they study about trickle-down effect. Well, I'll keep on studying the trickle-down effect. Because no matter what happens in Trinidad and Tobago, will always have people will support. You see that 12 or 15 of them are going to debate that budget this afternoon. There is the most disgusting period of time Trinidad and Tobago will be facing. People will mash up the TV. People will get involved in accident. All kind of things going to happen today. Listening to the kind of idiots going to be debating this budget coming from the opposition. Have a good morning, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your program later.
I shocked Lennox Smith. Just remain quiet after Barapo existed. Hey, anyhow, let me organize and play some voice notes. Go ahead, caller.
Well,
morning.
I mean, it makes a
ahead,
lot
caller.
of sense. It's consistent with what we have been saying.
Good morning, brother Andy. How are
Of
you?
course, a whole load of diatribe, and of course, cacophonous babblings, and it's very unfortunate that, you know, out of the conversations that I've been listening to since the presentation of the budget, particularly coming out of those who may be opposed to the budget and those who were in office then, you know, none of them, the question that must be posed is what you would have done. And none of them have been engaging that, except to say what transpires now, forgetting that this government has been in office just above 100 days. I mean, it is simply asinine. It is simply foolish. It is simply disconcerting that these people could be so stupid. So I am, you know, I'm waiting with bated breath. What you would have done, you deplete the reserves from 12 billion, and now it is about 5 billion. And then you are boasting as if you are happy.
Hold 1 minute.
The government doesn't have any money.
Hold 1 minute.
The government doesn't have. That's what Imbert said. The government doesn't have any
Hold
money.
1 minute, Lennox Smith. Hold 1 minute.
That is a
go ahead, caller.
A stripe. That is a accolade. But go ahead. Yeah.
Caller, go ahead.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, good morning, brother Andy.
Go ahead, caller. What's your contribution
Brother,
this morning?
Yes, brother Andy. How you doing?
I'm all right. Just fighting the fight. Not all what glitter
Yeah,
is gold. Not all what glitter is gold, but I'm holding on. I'm fighting the fight.
Yeah, this is your buddy in Miami, Lenny.
Hey, Mr. Lenny.
How you doing?
I'm all right, Mr. Lenny.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to get you. I understand that you wasn't too well, but thank God, you know, as long as you believe in the Almighty, you know, and pray to Him as apparently that you do, everything will be all right, you know.
Yeah. But Mr. Lenny, you're so correct. You have to believe in Almighty God, but believing in Almighty God is not enough. When somebody is not well, they have to do various tests. They have to do various things. They have to pay to go see doctor, especially with a health service in Trinidad and Tobago, going the way it's going at this point in time. So, yes, we must have faith in God, but we also have to have various things in order to clarify if it is you have a health situation in life too. But go ahead with your contribution, Mr. Lenny.
Yes, you know, because, you know, like I tell you, I'm 78 years old. I suffer from diabetes, and thank God, even though I work for a good salary but the health system here is great. I get everything paid for. I don't pay no out of pocket allowance. So as a matter of fact, every month I get $200 to buy food or help me pay rent or mortgage or whatever. Anyway, what I'm calling about is this
Nobody
this
healthcare
thing with this
system,
drug.
but Mr. Lenny, the healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago, I am seeing it, mate. It will change under the new administration with great minds.
Oh.
But at this point in time, I remember the government now coming, but the healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago is in a mess. It is bad. If you have to wait, on the healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago, you will end up dead before you even self know the cause of your death. That is how bad it is.
Listen, let me give you a good example. My mom, God bless her soul, she wasn't educated, but like I said, she had 5 kids, and she gave all 5 of us, she and my dad, sacrifice and give all 5 of us great
They try to
education.
insult our.
She ended up with 2 kids, 2 brothers who got a PhD. 2 of us have our masters. Me and my sister in Jersey, and my brother who is retired, he has his BA. And God bless her for that. And she helped a lot of people. And she got ill in 2010. I'm telling you here. And they took her, she said, listen to me, I have enough money. Do not put me in no hospital in Trinidad. No hospital. I have enough money to put me in a nursing home. And I don't remember what's the name of that nursing home near the Oval. It used to be Parks Nursing Home. And we took her there, and it was something to do with her uterus or something. And apparently they misdiagnosed her, and she died under the operating table. My sister flew in like a mad horse from New Jersey. And she said, I'm going to sue you all for every dime that you have. It was a Jamaican doctor that did the surgery. And that bill was almost $500,000, Andy, for just about 3 days. They paid us back some of the money. So I know what you all go through. Even when I come to Trinidad and see, when my brother go to the doctor and I see the price of the medication, and then to understand that you all had a system where you had expired drugs, that's death. I worked for a pharmaceutical company that was on the development of metformin and glipizide, blood pressure tablets. And they tell you what expired drugs could do to you, if not kill you eventually, But thank God, I think that we have I see so many great changes. Sometimes tears come to my eye when I see what's happening in Trinidad. And like I said, I didn't know that you had Indian. You know a lot about Tassa. You have Indian in me. I don't know much about it anyway. But what I'm saying is, with this thing about these drugs, did you read where this mother said that he went to spend vacation by her cousins in Venezuela for 3 months? 3 months!
All right, Mr. Lenny,
And
you had to let us start to wrap up.
All right. So what I call you to really tell you is that I'm coming home next month to spend the Christmas, and we got to get together with you, Mr. Lennox Smith and Mickie. All right, I have a small token for you all. So as soon as I reach, I'll call you. And God bless you, and God bless my loving country, even though I live here 52 years. Trinidad is my home, and God bless the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much, Andy.
No problem, Mr. Lenny.
Good morning, Lennox Smith. Good morning, Mickie. Good morning, Andy Williams. This is Erin again. I've been thinking about this thing with them 2 Trinidadian men on that boat. I wonder if people ever take time to study and say, well, I wonder
wonder if they force them two fellas on the boat just to get blow up, just to say these things. I wonder if anybody ever think about that. Locked on and listening, Ewing here.
Morning, Andy. Morning, Lennox. Morning, Mikey. Morning, Trinity Tobago. Morning to everybody who's on the line. Andy, listen to this now. I don't listen to you considering that caller who's talking about the killings of the two Trinidadians on the vessels. On the vessel, sorry. Here we're going on now. My opinion is this. In the first place, it's all the Americans and them out there and they're taking out any boat they suspect, whether they suspect it or not. Right? And they're taking them out. What are they doing out there in the first place? Right? Secondly, I want to tell that caller, here we're going on now. You're talking about Maduro and the gas deal and so forth concerning Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you something, Maduro will not be there. He will not be there. America going in there and ousting Maduro and his gang of narco terrorist scams. I call them scams. Right? These people and them will not be there. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you that gas deal concerning the dragon, that going down. That gas deal will come true because Maduro will not be there to make any gas deal. Or like you see what's going on now.
I just want to take opportunity to correct that caller talking about they might not agree with the dragon gas. That gas and oil have nothing to do with Maduro. That's not Maduro own. That have nothing to do with Maduro. They're not making an arrangement with Maduro. Maduro does not own anything in Venezuela. That's what they do the people. Yes, you do the people, and the people even are going all over the place to get in other countries to live. That is not Maduro own. Check your facts back now. Check the news properly now. That does not belong to Maduro. So what take place in EC has nothing to do with the dragon gas. Yeah? Yeah, just check the news properly and see what's going on, birds. Take care too. You understand? That has nothing to do with Maduro. Try to remember that. Have a good morning also.
Again, Clayton Williams say congratulations, Andy, for your board appointment. Andy Williams was not appointed to any board. It's an NGO, a non-profit organization appointment as the PRO to help build our culture and advocate for better recognition and a space for chutney and tassa in our great country. Okay? I was not appointed at no board. I don't want that talk going out there that I get board appointment from government. I never applied for any board appointment. I don't want any board appointment. And that is just me like right here now, whereby pro bono, not what we call a hobby. This is a hobby, just giving back to the people. Right, that is I accepting that NGO appointment as in using my influence to help build chutney and the tassa, bring more recognition to it in Trinidad and Tobago. It is a non-paying position.
Mikey, Lennox, Andy, and everybody, good morning. I know everybody asking for all what they want because they know the government delivering. But they have to remember, all what you're asking for, all well and good, you suffer for nearly 10 years, you didn't get what you wanted. But I hope you all have the patience and wait until this government organizes itself properly that you will get what you want because you're not even there 6 months. So hold some strain, hold strain for nearly 10 years, do the same thing and you will get what you want. All right? And just pray to keep the government and pray for them. Oh, thanks. You have a good day.
nobody else. So the chap who everybody else called up PNM, he talked about the Venezuela thing. And he's concerned that there's some nexus between this thing with the two Trinidadians being blown up and the Dragon gas deal as far as what Delsey's comments are. First of all, I want to allay his fears. There is no nexus. In international relations, it's very easy for people when they're dealing on a certain level to be warring on one issue and friendly on the next issue. They can very easily compartmentalize things. All right? Even right now, Europe basically at war with Russia and they're still buying Russian oil. Ship it at that song. So that's that. The other part of it is these two Trinidadians, clearly they're involved in drug trade and that. We know that goes on. People, come on, right? You get blow up, you get blow up. I don't claim you. You're not my citizen anymore. You go do something terrible in the world, you get what you get. You live by the sword, you die by it. Right? The problem with the Venezuelan situation is the Venezuelan government seems to be claiming the drug traffickers and standing up for them and making a big fuss about it. Wouldn't you be happy if somebody else came and cleaned up a mess that you seemingly cannot clean up yourself? Right? Because you have all these terrible drug gangs and everything in your country. Or maybe you, as the government, are involved in the drug gangs. That sounded like a more reasonable statement. Right? So, why are you claiming these people? It seems to be your people. Trinidad don't need to be claiming any Trinidadians who go and involve themselves in that. They're not ours. Right? And as far as the Dragon gas deal goes, you need to realize, people, it's a bad deal. One, the gas had two choices. After the Dragon is supposed to go on a platform that we own called Hibiscus. And Hibiscus has all the infrastructure to send the gas from that platform as well as the other fields around straight to our industrial plants and so on. So it's a simple, very simple, short pipeline, and Bob's your uncle. The other option was to send the gas into Venezuela, down the coast of Venezuela, and then it will cross the Gulf of Paria at some point, which would mean that Venezuela could switch off the gas anytime. We chose the latter. We chose to put the gas in the hands of the Venezuelans at any time they could switch it off. That's a bad deal for us. Right? Why are we still pursuing that? We need to get in a better position to say, no, if there has to be any Dragon gas deal, it is in a format, well, other than that. And the next thing you have to realize, this new deal, quote unquote, the Venezuelans cannot receive cash payments, cash money for the gas. They can only receive things like trade credit and like Trinidad can import food, let's say, for them and then sell it, give it to them. Right? But we cannot give them cash. And you know why? Because the drug money from Venezuela, the clear black economy of Venezuela is directly tied into the petroleum economy because the government is involved directly. Cartel de Sol, go look that up. Cartel de Sol is basically the government of Venezuela, right? Their own personal cartel. So the US are saying we're not going to allow the trade of and the washing of drug money into petrol money, right? So is Venezuela going to sign on to that? Almost certainly not. So what does this Dragon gas deal mean? It means that the Venezuelan government first has to change. I don't know how to say it to you all again. And guess what? The people of Venezuela did change that government 3 times, but that government cheated 3 times. Right? And it has a robust infrastructure of paramilitaries and everything to keep themselves forcefully in there. Venezuelan people don't want Chavez. Maduro. When you have 200,000 paramilitaries, you just have to keep them and their families happy, about 1 million people in total, out of the, about 25 million remaining. Remember, quarter of that country left, That is clear that the people don't want that guy. So until that situation changes, yes, Dragon is in our interest, but ideologically, Trinidad needs to be on the right side of history.
Hey, good morning. Andy, Lennox, Mickie. Why the PNM have to criticize? My phone going, why do the PNM criticize a budget that at least 80 or 85% of the people agree it was a good budget for the country? If you take a poll, you can see between 80 and up, or 85 and under, 85 and above people agree with the budget. That means the budget was an excellent budget provided by Mr. Thank you. Thank you. He said, thank you, thank you. And I listened to how thank you, the financial minister, break down all these taxes on rental and the bank. And then the mayor, 5 cents, 10 cents raise in the port. It's so little, the raise is so little. The man break it down to the T. What a financial minister. Not like the one we have, short man, midget man. It went. And on the other, there's a speech by the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday on land. And on she introduced a guy, a diplomat came from Saudi Arabia. And then the man did not come with his hands shaking like Rowley and small pin and them clowns. He came with $5 million US and handed to Kamra. He said, people who come to this country, diplomats with their hands shaking, and people from India, but the people from Africa, they come shaking and one rolling them was Yaman, Yamsi, and snail. So you see the difference in government. You see the difference in when you change government and they put the right people in government to run the country, you get results. So, Mr. Beaton, I always will pick you until you resign, get out of here. Because you are a young fool and a clown. And let your uncle direct you and guide you because you have no guidance. You are a gutter man, Beaton. So please, pick me up and be a better guy, okay? Help all the community. Who wants to see the lady and the child, the house that the child died, that will so stink, all right? Okay, Andy, then I'll probably be my friend later. Thing, Andy, the Santa Cruz, use the word real, talking like, Goba is a very expensive thing in America. And Goba is one of the purest, down in the world. You don't have no disease in Goba. Scientists have proven Goba to be the cleanest animal feces. So please, don't know you do Goba. You know what to say? Hogwash. Hogwash is the word, not Goba. Hindu use Goba a lot because we use it to clean our house when we had dirt out, like my father, my grandfather, them. We dab it, we make it look pretty. So Goba is a good thing with mud and whatever. It's a good thing. So don't use the word Goba in Santa Cruz. Don't be upset. Use the word hogwash. Like hog doo-doo. Those are the words you use. Don't make Patricia readers feel special by using the word Goba. No. Use hogwash. Okay? Use that. Andy, also one more thing, Andy. Do you know guns kill more people than anything else in America? I think number one is gun and number two is heart attack. I think that's how it works. Either, oh, heart attack is number one and gun is number two. Or we don't stop the guns, stop making. All right, Andy.
Good morning to the Magnificent Tree. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Today we will be in a real sad position because today we're going to get the real evil at the PNM because they're going to condemn this budget to the fullest. And to condemn a budget like this after you go through the kind of budget that Aimbot was doing and thumping this and telling you about ride a bike, don't put no gas. You can't put gas in your car, so ride a bike. Roast a breadfruit on a coal pot because you mightn't have the money to put LPG gas. Don't bake no ham, don't bake no pie to support that budget. And you thumping gas and you come out and you say that budget is so good when gas price and all kinds of things going up, property tax and thing, and you're supporting that. And a budget like this that comes for the people, which is the first time in history a gas price ever dropped in Trinidad and Tobago. And all the balance of goodies that the budgets have for people. And you come to condemn that budget, even when they get 10% to the public servant. And you will come and condemn this budget and find fault with it and say, oh, they give it one hand and take back with the next hand. It's only wickedness will come from this. And if these people have God in them, they will never condemn something that is truthful and clear as daylight. Because see, they care nothing about the people of Trinidad and Tobago. All what they care about is the self. And they will condemn it to the fullest. I'm telling you that today. So thank you.
Oh boy, just get a breaking system. And Lennox like he realized when they don't talk they holy strain from a while trying to just put things in place.
Yeah, but I'll go and give us some indication, man, because
Alright.
you might be fixing to play voicemails, you see. It has happened already. And then when
Alright,
they play the
alright.
voicemail, they don't voicemail ain't go know that I talking. Yeah, but of course a lot of fanfare a lot of fireworks I should say will take place from today. But of course, there's another development that we did not talk about during the course of the week, and that is, of course, those landlords who would now have to pay a surcharge and plus a registration fee of $2,500. I did have a conversation with several of them, and they brought some very valid argument. For example, how they would determine what rent you are collecting. And indeed, of course, they would have wanted to know as well, why not instead of the 20,000 annual gross income from that measure or from that activity, and say 20,000 if you're collecting 20,000 and below, you pay, of course, 2.5% of the gross annual rental income. And if you are collecting in your gross annual rental income over $20,000, you have to pay 3.5% of that that is in the gross annual rental. And they were suggesting that two things, and I think is something the authorities should look at. Why say 20 and below? Because there are people who have rented their premises to supplement their income in order for them to survive. So why not say, for example, if you have 4 and above or just beyond 4 apartments, then of course it's subjected to that surcharge. That's the argument. In other words, people with 4 and below apartments should not be subjected. That is something that they said that might be very viable, because a lot of people rent out their premises not because they want to, but simply because they want to augment their income in order to survive. So I think that is something that I will be pursuing with respect to the minister during the course of the debate. I'm sure the debate will not complete before I send that suggestion. And the second one is that they find that the percentage charge is a bit high, 2.5 and 3.5. So we will put that into the recommendation as well. And then there is a third one, which is that do that calculation based on the amount of apartments that you have rented, as opposed to saying a blanket 20,000 annually and above, or 20,000 you're making a year below, and put that surcharge that they would have put on it, meaning that 2.5 in the case of 20,000 that you're making annually gross rental and below, 2.5%. And if you are grossing more than $20,000 a year, then you apply the 3.5%. I think it makes sense. And then, of course, the other argument would be how you determine whether or not are you asking people to be dishonest. You know, that kind of issue comes up. How would you verify that a person paying, let's say, $2,000 as opposed to $3,000 a month for the rent? And knowing Trinbagonians as we do, they work out an arrangement with the tenant, and once the tenant gets in a benefit, they are prepared to say what the true rent isn't. All of those are nuances that people have worked out already. So that has been the discussion. We didn't have, of course, our own budgetary assessment last night, but I want to thank, of course, Joshua, my son, for his debut, for his first solo corridor transformation program last night, short as it was, but he was there alone, and he read and read and read as a major part of his presentation last night. So I want to commend him. That is what you're seeing on the side of me playing in the background, just to show off a little bit now, because, I mean, you have to encourage our young people to, of course, engage and do it at an early age. I believe in that, so that they gain the experience, the expertise, and the confidence to do what most adults, too many of them, might be shy so to do. But by the time he reaches my age, your age, etc., then it means, therefore, he would be well-groomed and well-confident to, of course, play his role in the society in whatever field that he would have chosen. So that was something that I looked forward to, and looking forward to it again, because I think he did a splendid job last night on the corridor transformation, going solo, so to speak, for the first time. So once again, those landlords, they are concerned as to how the tax will be assessed in terms of the amount of rent, actual rent that is being collected. And they are saying, of course, that some people rent out of necessity to augment their survivability in this very, what I consider to be atrocious economic and social environment. and therefore maybe the 20,000 annually and the surcharge on it to 2.5% should not be applied, or put another way, it's only be applied to persons who have more than 4 apartments being rented out, right? So so that is some of the things that came up in that discussion. Of course, the other thing that we have to look at is the minister saying that there is no intention to dip into the Heritage and Civilization Fund. However, he said that if there is a need to, then the government will act legally and responsibly in that regard. You know, we had a situation regularly in the last administration where they deliberately put oil and gas at a certain price so that they could literally access the Heritage and Civilization Fund. It was unrealistic, and therefore they would have gotten the shortfall in revenue, because that is the basis on which you can enter the Heritage and Civilization Fund. So they generated that scenario when they presented their budget, didn't reach, of course, their target because they set it at a unrealistic level in terms of comparing it with or relying on a price of gas or oil that was unrealistic. So Tanku is saying that there is several mechanisms that they have looked at to avoid the IMF one, and to avoid, of course, going into the HSF, the Heritage and Civilization Fund. In fact, let me just read one paragraph to emphasize that. Tanku said that the government did not intend to dip into the Heritage and Civilization Fund, HSF, for the 2025-26 fiscal year, as government has access to several financing mechanisms, several, not just one, several financing mechanisms. Incidentally, I saw that I think it's about $5 million was donated to the country by a Saudi Arabian diplomat that came here, that came here and was, of course, at the diplomatic center when those plots of land were being distributed to former Karuni workers. So we weren't told what the money was to do, but certainly 5 million, I think it's, yes, 5 million US dollars was donated to the government. In other words, money that is not to be repaid, so it's not borrowed money. All right, okay. However, he added that any withdrawal from the HSF would be done legally. We have several financing mechanisms available to us. I don't want to assume that we are going to go in any particular direction outside of what we have constrained ourselves to at this point. But if we are going to go to HSF, it will be within the confines and requirements of the law itself. Remember that the HSF was created for a particular purpose. So the purpose is twofold, one of which is also for budgetary support, as I indicated earlier. So there we go. Right, so of course on Monday, the Minister of Finance, Dave Tanku, he delivered a $59.2 billion budget. Let me repeat, $59.2 billion budget. I am repeating that because I could remember very distinctly the last administration under Rowley, and of course Stuart Young, and of course Camille Robinson Regis. I see that she has broken her silence on her absence. She had some medical procedure, and she had to recuperate, so she's recuperating. And of course, Penelope Beckles under her as well, where they came into office saying that they could do more with less. And they criticized, of course, the previous Kamala Prasad-Bissasa administration, 2010 to 2015, of having a very high budget targets or having very high budgets, 60 billion and more. However, when they came to the crease, so to speak, and had management of the country's resources, you could hardly find a budget that wasn't either very close or outside of 60 and counting $billion. So there you have it. It's another piece of hypocrisy that and con job that the PNM played on the people. So let me just repeat that. Tanku delivered a $59.2 billion budget based on oil prices of 73.25 US dollars per barrel and a gas price of 4.25 per MMBTU as far as the gas is concerned. So that is the basis on which the budget was calculated to reach the point of 59.2 billion. We noticed too that Tobago is very pleased with their portion of it. I was reading up some of it in terms of the historical context and the arbitration. I think it's 4-point-something% of the national budget they ought to get. But I think on this occasion, there has the portion of the budget, including the intention to provide some additional resources apart from the pure allocation, meaning that the money allocation, there will be some indirect money allocation to Tobago via several ministries, and a number was, of course, brought out in that. But in total, the budget, the allocation for Tobago seemed to be close to 6%. So it has gone past the 4-point-something% that was considered to be fair for Tobago in relation to the percentage of the overall budget that Tobago should get. And for that, they are very pleased. I noticed, however, that the opposition in Tobago, the opposition leader there, he is saying that it is bogus as well. So it appears that there is this determined and orchestrated and probably conspiracy by the opposition to render and to classify the budget as bogus, as fake, and unreal. Let's see what the opposition leader today in the parliament. It starts from 10:30, so I cannot stay glued to my television or device. Yeah, I probably could do it in the car, but I have to be on the move, because as you know, of course, we have to look for it. Andy, Mickie, we have to look for it in spite of that, because we do not have a sturdy, reliable income, and therefore we have to engage in other activities in order to make sure that we can put food on the table and clothe ourselves and pay the various bills that we would have, including bills like this. And he has his light bills to pay. I have mine to pay. Mickie has his to pay. We have our internet bills to pay. And in fact, I think one of my internet supplier has indicated to me that my bill is due. So I have to go and look for that money today. So we have that kind of relationship, that kind of reality, but always committed to making sure that you get the service that we believe is required at this point in time as part of the Fourth Estate, and bringing information that will be edifying and so informative that you can make informed decisions. This has always been the thrust and the purpose of the various platforms, whether it be this one, the Ground Report, Unreal Media TT, or whether it be Corridor Transformation in the night from 8 o'clock, or whether it be, of course, Mickie's effort to, of course, bring information to you via the internet and the various social media platforms that we engage. Of course, in the case of Mickie, it is called The Observer. All right, so that's where we are in terms of that. Andy, I don't know if you have any questions you want to ask. He said that he did say that he's getting a bit of challenge there. That happens from time to time. It happens to me too regularly on the corridor transformation, but determination, grit, and the stick-to-itiveness that is required in such circumstance, even though, of course, you have the option of just leaving everything alone and abandon the whole thing. But no, I think we are made up of stuff that are so committed to national development, are so committed to making it right, particularly for the grassroots and the downtrodden and the underprivileged, that we simply just gravitate or we return, even though it may be challenging, as I've explained earlier. All right, so that is where we are in terms of that. MMBTU, well, of course, most people who would know, I see, and Roberts will normally mention MMBTU. He says it as a kind of poetry, something that he might have rehearsed. But MMBTU, of course, stands for 1 million British thermal unit. That is what it means, because gas is measured in terms of the amount of energy that it produces. So thus the term MMBTU. I hope that that is piece of information that may be useful to those of you who may not know. Once again, MMBTU, when you hear the term in relation to, of course, gas, well, it stands for 1 million British thermal units. And of course, this gas is measured in the amount of energy it produces. And thus, of course, thus the term thermal unit. Thermal meaning, of course, temperature. All right. That being as it may, let me go straight to the other issues that may be touching the headlines. Otherwise, Andy get his act together and return. Yeah. Another issue, of course, is the whole question of the sale of the Twin City sale. And let me just read a couple paragraphs in relation to that particular matter so that you get an idea. Of course, the background to it is that is CL Financial, or better known as CLICO for most of us. And of course, we observed and we have reported that the government of the day were fire selling the assets of CLICO. Of course, the parent company or the holding company is CL Financial, headed by, of course, Lawrence Dupree, and a group of what I consider to be locals who have put together the most expansive company Trinidad and Tobago would have seen up to that point in time, until, of course, the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis that created a cash flow problem. But soon after that, I must say soon, several years after that, and under the Manning and, of course, Rowley administrations, there was, of course, a bailout scenario under Manning, and it continued, of course, under the intervening administration, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the People's Partnership. And then, of course, it continued in 2015. Well, in 2015, it came to an end with, of course, what I describe, and I say so without fear of contradiction, and whether it be controversial or not, but the intention was to fire sale, get those assets and fire sale it, because out to friends and family and acquaintances through a nepotistic arrangement, but of course utilizing the courts in order to be part and parcel of that of that. Not that the courts were part of it in terms of a conspiracy, but the courts were used to legitimize it. The courts were using, of course, their own discretion in the matter based on the evidence before it. So I want to make sure that there's no aspersion being cast on the courts of the country in this regard. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because when the former governor of the central bank, remember that, Rambaran, was asked to leave the office of governor of the central bank by Imbert and, of course, the Rowley, under the Rowley administration, Rambaran did say that when he eventually met with Imbert as the Minister of Finance, all Imbert was interested in, that is public record. All Imbert was interested in is how he could get his hands on the Clico CL financial assets. And when Rambaran told Imbert that the bank has already made arrangements, because remember by that time you had, of course, some legal options to benefit the state. There was an arrangement, of course, to manage it with the state, Trinidad and Tobago's government, having the majority in terms of decision making. But the fact of the matter is that the bank was supposed to be the supervisory mechanism or institution. And he said in no uncertain terms, Rambaran, that all Imbert was interested in is getting his hands on the Clico assets. And when Rambaran told Imbert that, listen, the bank has already made arrangements with respect to that, he got vexed and walked out. Let me repeat. He said that I don't get me vexed before I send Andy the clip to play. But the fact is that he said that he Imbert got vexed and walked out because he was only interested in that. And then it came to pass during the life of the horrendous life of the Rowley, Stuart Young, Imsworth, and others administration between 2015 to the 28th of April this year, we saw a manifestation of the most bizarre, greedy disposal of the assets of that company, once a proud, significant player in Trinidad and Tobago, and of course in the Caribbean, because there are Caribbean connections. And even to today, the Antiguan government and I think the Barbadian government are still pursuing. They are threatening to go to the court, the Caribbean Court of Justice, to get whatever was owing to them and the investors from those respective jurisdictions. So that saga is not yet over. But the fact is that the Rowley administration went to court and, of course, render the entire affair in terms of CL Financial insolvent, and that they demanded their monies one time. And up to now, of course, according to them, if they were still in government, CL Financial and Clico would have still be owing the government. However, of course, what has happened in recent times is that the Attorney General, John Jeremy, has asked for an injunction with respect, of course, to the sale of Trin City as part of that arrangement made by the Rowley Stuart Young PNM arrangement. And there are other concerns, and former or current business people, owners of the various assets, are now, of course, have found their voice and are expressing their deep appreciation for the present government's action. And we know that in opposition, not in opposition, but In opposition and during the campaign, the present Prime Minister did say that that whole affair should be the subject of a commission of inquiry. Let's see how that goes. So let me just read 2 paragraphs there with respect to that. Judge stops the Twin City sale. Having said all of that, Justice Kevin Ramcharan says that this is the article. A High Court judge has granted an injunction restraining the liquidator of a CL Financial from completing the sale of Twin City Commercial Center, which includes the Twin City Mall, until October 27th. So we have So we have some time, about a week or more ago, again to go. Justice Kevin Ramcharan.
But I thought Lennox Smith. I thought they already had sold that, and the talk out there was that that it was sold to Coleman Burt or some kind of bacchanal thing. So
I think the Long Circular Mall, I think would have been, that matter would have been consummated, but this was a situation where there was a stop and go scenario. And Samakal wanted to buy it, and then they withdrew, and therefore it became open. And then, of course, a conglomerate, a group of individuals, businessmen, decided that they will pay for it, and then, of course, that was to be the sale, and that is happening as we speak. But of course, as I said, the Attorney General and, of course, that group of what I consider to be investors or shareholders have called for an inquiry. And the matter has been stalled so far. And on the 27th, of course, it will be revisited. The judge asking the Attorney General to give reason for his, of course, intervention in the way that he has.
Wow.
So that's where it is.
So why they're really stopping it? Is because of what, improperities or something?
Yeah, they're saying it's a fire sale. It was valued originally, I think, of how much? I think is 90. Don't hold me to the numbers, but I think, all right, what is selling
approximately $100 million.
Half of what it's worth. So to be safe.
All right. So let me say. Let me say it was valued $100 million TT dollars. They're selling it for $50 million TT dollars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happening here. So in those circumstances, they said, well, what is this? The government is supposed not to be, put another way, the government is supposed to be seeking the interests of all and sundry, especially, of course, the business community. And I've always said that Clico matter really and truly has put salt in the rice, or I should say put salt, or just dirt, have, of course, deflated entrepreneurship in this country. Because here it is, these people work hard to build that conglomerate, Dupre notwithstanding. And you just feel because you get an opportunity, is an opportunity to just take it and sell it off because you're in government. When your duty is to encourage entrepreneurship and to make every citizen the best that they could be. And that loss, that cumulative loss of that entrepreneurial zeal that would have gone into developing probably the largest conglomerate in the Caribbean. You just simply dash that because you in office and you want your people to get artificially rich. Yeah, artificially rich without working for it. I mean, it is simply pathetic, horrendous, and wicked of the PNM to have engaged in that kind of opportunistic, parasitic conduct whilst in office simply because they had the office. Wow.
Hold 1 minute.
Good morning, Andy and Mr. Lennox and all members of the Ground Report. Andy, I just sent you a little picture there of one of the same fellas that was killed by the U.S. government in Venezuela on that boat. He was one of 4 that was held with narcotics and ammunition back in 2018. I sent you the picture there. So it's very dishonest of his parents and the people around him saying that, oh, he was a good boy and he wasn't nothing. And you know, Andy, that is why this country is the way it is, because plenty of these parents, they encourage their bandit pest children to continue to do what they do, and then when you see they get killed, you understand, they want to be so, oh God, they didn't want to kill him, they didn't want to shoot him. Come on, man, playing smart with foolishness. The parents are very dishonest because they know what their bandit children was involved in, and that is a simple thing. When you play with the puppy, you get bitten by the fleas, right? And as for Miss Penelope Beckles, you know, I listened to the opposition, and they're so obsessed and so concerned about Kamala Prasad, the Sessa, dipping into the HFS. How much times did the PNM government dip into the HFS? You know, and that is why, you know, I thank for people like Mr. David Welsh and Doga and Mr. Doga Politics, because it has exposed them every time. You understand? Up to 2014 December, you understand, they withdrew over $1 billion from the HFS. What that was used for, that, and they don't have the excuse of COVID time to say, okay, well, they withdraw from that. Come on, man. The PNM have dipped down in the HFS multiple times, right? With very little accounting for the money that they took out, but all of a sudden now they're concerned about the UNC dipping into the HFS. How much money they actually put back into the HFS, right? In fact, the PNM took out more from the HFS than they actually put in back. You understand? And that is why I can't stand the dishonesty of these people. You understand? And for these PNM people, you understand, who keep going on and on and on. You know, it's like they wanted the government to actually make things harder for them rather than the little breather that they have now. You understand? Like, God had to help these people, you know, God had to help you, because you can't please these people. You understand? So I just want to say a special good morning again to everybody. I will be home and I'll be listening to that budget rebuttal, right, and putting down my notes, because I'm sure they're coming with all kind of mess, right, because they dance and they archaic in their way and thinking. All right, guys, have a blessed day.
Good morning, everybody. Listen. First of all, I don't know what that gentleman was talking about. Kamala give Trump okay to blow up anybody, but you know it. That United States trust. Right there, one. Right? So what are you talking about? That now the gas deal. Gas deal is Maduro, Venezuela have no choice. They have to do. If they don't, face the fate, and there will be consequences. So they have no choice. This is not a maybe or if or but. They have. All right. Morning again, Andy. Morning again, Andy. Listen, Trinidad and Tobago. I've been saying this for a long while. A long while. I keep saying this. I said they have the people out there doing some investigation. They have the CIA, whoever they was out there, was there. And they were doing some investigation. What is going on in Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. They was right there. They were inside there. They in the country. You don't know them. I don't know them, but they was there. And that is why they come up with this kind of solution. What is drugs and all these things coming out from and human trafficking. They know all of that. They know everything what's going on. Right? They got informers. So don't be surprised. Because I've been saying that for a long time. And all they don't pay their attention. You know, just like Mr. Rima was talking about. And all they don't pay attention. This is going to happen. Right? It come into play. All right? You got it? I'll be very short. Listen. They see Andy, good morning again. Andy, listen. They can see with the satellite They can see anything that's moving. Him, they can read the number plate from the satellite. They see everything. So what strike they make the decision, they see it. They not just say they're going to shoot it after them from a drone or something. They see whatever you have in that book and whoever the current. They see. If they can see a number plate, they can see everything. That's how it works.
Good morning. God has a plan and purpose for everything. We may not be able to see it right now, but God has promised He will not allow anything to come into our lives unless He can ultimately get some good out of it. This should take all the pressure off us. That means if our prayers are not being answered in the way we want, God must have something better in store. He knows what's best, so you can believe that all things are going to work together for your good. Don't live stressed out when the pressure times come.
Andy, good morning to you, Lennox, Mikey, Newbie, and to everybody out here. Andy, I just want to draw your attention, you and everybody out there, attention to something. Isn't it driving and talking on a cell phone illegal? Isn't that against the law? That is why they were telling people about buying headsets and so. Okay. Yesterday I had to go out, so I took a taxi in front of my gate. I thought it's a PH car because that's what most we get up here. There was a lady driving. I sat in the back. She from maybe a couple of seconds after we drove off, her phone rang. She answered the phone. Then we went around to Akal Trace and those places there, which is all part of the settlement. She's still on the phone. She parked up in front of somebody's gate because she told me she had to pick up somebody. And I said, no problem. She picked up the person, they packed the thing in the trunk, they come. She's still on the phone. We're driving out of there, she's still on the phone. Andy, when we reached in front of the Santa Cruz Health Center, I started to get this little, that's when your angels speaking to you. I call it that way. Discomfort in the stomach, and it's not for me to go to the toilet. It's because I was feeling uncomfortable. I told her, say, ma'am, I didn't say anything all the time, but we are now going out into the open road. Would you mind coming off your cell phone? I said, because you know that is against the law, right? Lo and behold, okay, she said she's sorry. She took it off. She put on her headset, right? The lady in front now who she picked up, who parked up for almost 5 minutes waiting for her to pick her. Go to asking her now, so if I talking to you, that is also against the law? Now tell me, Andy, is that not ignorance? That is not ignorance? The one at the back, sitting at the back with me now, she was on her phone. Then she finished off. She said, well, I was just on my phone. I said, were you driving? So right away now, the two of them pick up on me because I tell the driver about talking on her cell phone and driving. Andy, there's an open road. There's an open road from the time you leave Santa Cruz until you reach into the Quezé. You don't know what, and there's a lot of curves. You don't know what can happen there. I should not have had to tell you. And then these two, oh God, let me be politically correct, coming to argue with me and vex because I asked. I said, so, excuse me, are you driving? She said, no. I said, well, then if you speak it to her, that doesn't concern me. And you can do whatever you want when you're in your car and I'm not in your car. Well, they get vexed because I say that, the two of them. And then I realized, I said, you know what? And I told it to them. I said, I realized what is going on here. I said, driver, you want to get back on your phone? Get back on your phone and put me out. Right? She said, no, I already hung up. I said, and I appreciate that. But the next two, up until I dropped out in the Quezé, well, one dropped out earlier, and the next one was still carrying on about my opinion, and the lady have opinion. I said, but yeah, but her opinion could cause somebody to get killed. And Andy, you know what is the most ignorant part? That look at how many accidents and people die, but we never hear them die because they were on a cell phone. Really? Really? What about all the people that got killed with texting and driving? Why was it made law that you have to have a headset? You're not supposed to be holding your phone. But you see, Andy, ignorance in this country is what have this country moving like that. And we will never see our way until we stop being ignorant and start being sensible. Thanks a lot.
Nice. Echo of Chambers. Miss Santa Cruz, you say Miss Santa Cruz, just tell her stop and come out of that car, her car. Then you also say, if you're not comfortable in that car, just tell her, let me out. Right, so Coach Chamber, she did say that. Remember, she did tell the lady, here it is. If you're staying on your phone, you can put me out here and you could continue on your phone. And the lady told her, well, I'm already off the phone. So it's not the driver again was on her. Who was on her there is the two other passengers that trying to justify the wrong of the driver and not even the driver justifying it. So that is what is Miss Santa Cruz argument there.
That's when you're fast. That come like Boss Marco.
Yeah.
Interfering in business that you can't influence, so it's not your concern.
But
you're doing a public service.
Go ahead, KFC. Short and sweet. I was not going to play a voice. I was not going to play a voice notes. I'm not playing that again. Eh? Go ahead.
Well, I must say good morning to Krisha Amen. She asked me for a long while. I feel so blessed she answered me. I mean, she talking to get ready for the parliament for 10. So, Andy, congratulations. My team being about government appointment. Eat and live and let live.
Brother, again.
Lennox,
wait, KFC. That position have no money in it. It's an NGO.
All right.
It have no money in it.
NGO.
Because I don't want the activists go about. That's why I keep clearing it to Lennox Smith.
Yeah, you know you have a right to because
they will go about saying Andy get appointment, Andy eating, Andy this.
Andy get you. No.
That have no money in it.
I'm glad you clarify yourself with Free Nation to hear you. So you go look out and say
that have no money in it.
That have no money in it.
You get you with your business, man.
No, everything in processing right now. Processing,
all right,
and that's waiting.
That's what you want to hear. At least in processing, yeah. All right, good.
But I must say good morning to all true activists and supporters. Not the one who backbiting and stabbing. And the bless.
All right.
Program is short.
Yeah, man.
All right. Yeah. Boy, if I don't put that to rest Lennox Smith, people will say Andy get through.
Yeah.
Andy get both.
Yeah.
No, partner.
Then we have a way, whether voluntarily, involuntarily, by accident, but these things reach the authorities and they say, well, listen, I bother with Andy again. I was considering for something, but it's all right, you get something.
Boy, Andy again?
And you lost your opportunity. You may not be aware, you know what I mean? And here it is, of course, you lost it because they become aware of something that really and truly is supposed to be misleading and is just part and parcel of your volunteerism.
Exactly.
So yes, people, so please, that is what it is all about. You know, that scenario with Miss Santa Cruz remind me of one that I would have had. I was driving past Mover Junction, hesitating as whether to turn right or to go straight. But it so happens a licensing officer was behind me, two of them driving another vehicle. So they went past me and then pulled in front of me and said, listen, you was on your cell phone. So I said, well, because the cell phone was right on the dashboard. So I said, no, that cell phone was the only time. They said, no, it was the cell phone. Because they assume that because I was hesitating, that equates, and they see the cell phone, they conclude that I was on the cell phone. And no matter what I tell them, they tell, and give me a ticket, you know. Give me a ticket. Right? Because I couldn't convince them that I was not on the cell phone, which in fact was the case. So I'm just saying that it reminds me of those scenarios. And in that case, of course, I went and I won the case anyway. But the fact is that, you know, you have that happening whilst you're on the road. So people don't practice that. Sometimes it's an urgent thing and we take a chance, but that is what it is, a chance. It is unlawful so to do, and therefore try to resist.
Go ahead, quick fire, about. We had a lock off. Morning.
Well, then, sorry, Andy, then good morning to each and everyone. And later, tomorrow, please God. Happy Diwali to each and everybody. Tuesday, please God.
All right. Oh boy. There's only one more voice.
What is the holiday? Tuesday or Monday?
Monday. That's why you say
Monday?
you go see us Tuesday.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought that.
We know we will not be on Monday.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So, Andy, expand on the
Last voice note, because I have no more after this. I ain't see no more after this.
Venezuela thing, instead of the regime change question anyway. And they tiptoe around it, but I'm not going to tiptoe. I want to see regime change in Venezuela. Because the people of Venezuela want to see regime change. They tried to change the regime 3 times, and 3 times the elections were rigged. And this chap used his paramilitaries to suppress the opposition and lock them up. And it had an election, believe it or not, where their version of the parliament, they call it the People's Assembly, I think, or the National Assembly, that is supposed to decide who is going to be the president, the National Assembly. That chap, he went and formed, when he lost that, he clearly lost, so the number of members he had in there, he clearly lost. He went and formed his own National Assembly. And that National Assembly voted him into as president. In a situation like that, he is forcefully engaged in regime change. Everybody don't like when the US engage in regime change. He is forcefully keeping himself power. And they have these things called paramilitaries, which is basically a military police, about 250,000 of them. And it's a simple Khmer Rouge model. Anybody talking, like you talking on the road, normal, gossip, back and talk, and you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, that's the end of you. You disappear, right? Even among families, they're afraid to say certain things and all of that. So that whole nation is being held hostage by about 1 million people, the paramilitaries and their families. Right? And that guy, he just needs to keep them happy. The rest of the people, sold for you. That's why so much of them leave. There's a quarter of that country left or more. Right? So everybody's talking regime change. No, the people want regime change. They tried 3 times. The only way, and they were bullied out of it. The only way to bully a bully is with the next bully. So if it had to be the US, so be it. And I didn't realize that there are other international players in Venezuela too. The Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians. Hezbollah is in Venezuela. That is who train their paramilitaries. Right? And believe it or not, people, my conspiracy, a lot of those forces are here too, especially the Chinese, trying to engage in regime change in Trinidad. That is what Stuart Young was. First time in Trinidad history, a prime minister changed without an election. Right? Because the Chinese Communist Party wanted their own regime, so to speak. Right? So, for all who does say America bad and regime change and that kind of international intrigue happens all around the world, all kind of countries. I prefer that it be Big Brother doing it here in our side of the world.
Nice. Nobody was the last. Thanks so much, you all. Don't forget.
I like what nobody said here, but it reminded me of 2 jocular things. When Cho went to Jamaica to meet Mark Rubio, of course, the Secretary of State, when he shake his hand, he say, "Should I tell you congratulations or condolences?" and so he said, "You tell me, you have been around longer than me." and after that, of course, he was thrown out, of course. And with that National Assembly, he not only put in his own National Assembly, he put in his own judge too, your judges. So when on the last occasion, when he said he win, and the results, of course, was different, he called the same judges to adjudicate. But obviously, they adjudicated in favor. That is the level of madness that these people see power, because power intoxicates and makes men giddy. And absolute power absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that is what is happening and has happened, of course, in Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago, we are a beautiful place and we did the right thing. Seeing, of course, this Otoku group of individuals taking the state resources to stay in government, trying a Maduro stunt. But of course, we quickly got hold of it, and therefore 26 in Trinidad, 2 in Tobago, they are totally out. And now, of course, the 12 plus 1, we will be hearing, of course, their representative today, and of course, the rest of them in the parliament today. Stay tuned and expect the fireworks, because they're going to be walking out, and there's all kinds of what you would have seen last Friday. That is just a microcosm of what is going to take place in the next couple of days in the debate of the 2026 national budget in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice. So Trinidad and Tobago, no corridor transformation tonight. Lennox will be hold on to the budget. May go take a little chill out a little bit. But Monday, please, God.
I'll drink less beers.
Yeah. Don't forget, Monday it's a holiday. It's Diwali. So you always see us on Tuesday morning, please, God. So hear us on Tuesday morning, please, God. On behalf of the Gong Report team, Lennox Smith and Michael Kerr, better known as Mickie K. I'm Andy Williams, better known as the Pitbull of radio. We are out of here until tomorrow, until Tuesday morning, please God. Same time, same place, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Laters, everybody, and happy Diwali to each and every one of you.
The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Bang, 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 bang.